Back to State House for the live proceedings of the meeting between President William Ruto and Iran's Ibrahim Raisi, who is in the country for a state visit scheduled to happen yesterday but was cancelled, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs issuing a statement and which stated that the meeting will happen today and is happening at the moment at State House in Nairobi. We have seen the protocol team laying down the visit for the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, who is set to meet President William Ruto now at State House. I now understand that he is arriving. That is the security protocol ahead of his entourage, and the protocol, his car bearing the flag of Iran there, and to be received by President William Ruto, who is standing by to receive President Ibrahim Raisi for a state visit, and thereafter bilateral talks between the two presidents, Kenya and Iran by extension, and which in this case will be largely trade, diplomatic relations, security engagements, and other relations that will bolster the relations between the two countries. That is President Ibrahim Raisi getting out of his vehicle and is being received by the head of state. In his company are other top government officials, and it's now official that the Iranian president is in Kenya for his state visit, which was scheduled to start yesterday but never happened, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs thereafter issuing a statement. The two leaders now on the red carpet. That is the salutation from the Chief of Defense Forces, Ogola, and the two presidents will be heading for the national anthems of the two countries before the press statement officially starts. There is the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. The Prime Cabinet Secretary is up next, shaking the hand of President Raisi, Musalia Mudavadi. And next after is the Principal Secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abraham Korir Sing'oei, whose ministry issued the statement. And lining up are members of the Kenya Defense Forces and the respective, as you can see, in their respective uniform, the Kenya Air Force first, then Kenya Air Force, the Kenya Navy salutation, and again, the Kenya Army, I beg your pardon. And that is the dictate of the protocol for any visiting head of state. And now the two leaders are heading for the entrance to which they are going to be holding bilateral talks before coming out later to address a press conference as members of the press await for this important visit by the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, who has been received by President William Ruto at State House. And the live pictures that you're getting from State House in Nairobi, and will be getting to the press conference that will be held by both presidents once they get to the lectern to address on the specific issues that the two countries will be agreeing upon. And the focus will be on areas of defense, trade relations, security, and the national anthems. And now on, let's follow the proceedings. We'll get the leaders' statement once they take to the lectern and address the issues of agreement, the areas of cooperation, and that presumably around trade, diplomatic relations, security and defense, and Iran looking forward to bolstering its relations with African countries. The first in 10 years by any visiting Iranian president to the continent, and his predecessors, both President Hassan Rouhani and Ahmadinejad, didn't visit the African continent. And it is therefore an important one following the reorientation of its policies by Iran after sanctions that were imposed by the American government following the nuclear agreement of 2015, and the concerns that were expressed by the nuclear watchdog, which is the IAEA, about the enrichment of its uranium enrichment by the Iranian government, which had led concerns among the Europeans and the Americans. Let's listen into the national anthems.
It's very impolite to speak loudly right now, so is this level okay?
نفرست بزنیم چون خاموشش کرد. ببین اصلا خیلی با احتیاط بود. منو باید دوباره بگیری. نیما منو دوباره بگیر. منو دوباره بگیر. ببین اصلا اینو فقط پا بشه دست بزن. به روز بیا دو دایت بریم 5 دقیقه بودم 5 دقیقه
همون استیلی بریم
That's President Abraham Raisi, who was welcomed at State House by President William Ruto, inspected a guard of honor. Before, of course, was the gun salute for the visiting head of state of Iran, who is also on a tour of an African visit to Uganda and in Zimbabwe, where he is set to meet Presidents Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and Emerson Mnangagwa as part of reorientation of the Iranian policies and relations with the African continent, the first to happen in 11 years, and his predecessors, Hassan Rouhani or Ahmadinejad, neither of them had paid a visit to the African continent amid concerns by the West and the Americans with regards to its enrichment of nuclear program and the policies that are shifting in the Middle East and the recent rapprochement between the Saudis and the Iranians, which is a concern for the Israelis, who have over time expressed worry about the nuclear levels of Iran. Once the head of state and his visiting counterpart will be at the podium, we'll be getting the live proceedings from State House here in the county of Nairobi. We proceed with our discussion. Yes, Honorable Ote, you had a point in response to Dr. Kalua.